Thank you so much for joining us for 10 out of 10. This is the vodcast that aspires to give you 10 takeaways in just 10 minutes as we talk to people that are leaders in the home furnishings retail industry. I'm Mark Schumacher. Thank you for joining us. And of course, as always, I need to thank the sponsors first. I want to thank Synchrony Financial, also Fortiva Retail Credit, American First Finance, and Versatile. Now, together, they create this unified platform that using Versatile's technology, they connect Synchrony for those prime promotional offers, Fortiva for second look financing, and payment options from American First so the customers get a quick yes. That's what it's all about. My guest today is Andrew Steinhafel. He is the president of Steinhafels, fourth generation leader of that company. And Andrew, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us here. And I'm going to start the clock as I always do. This is going to be a little bit of a different conversation for a lot of people. We know there's a ton of pressures in all retail, and certainly have been for furniture retail. There's been a lot of consolidation, more of it coming. Some companies, the next generation is not stepping up to lead, and it's unclear how things are going to go. So there's been a lot of companies turning to employee ownership. And Steinhafels, it's been, I guess, almost a little bit, I guess 4 years now that you have been employee owned with an employee stock ownership plan. Tell me this, how did this idea come up first and foremost? Because I know that wasn't a snap decision. These had to be long-term conversations.
Yeah, great to see you, Mark. And
I
it
bet.
was a long-term conversation, and certainly something that wasn't decided overnight. I rejoined the business about 12 years ago as part of our succession planning, and that really kickstarted a broader conversation where we were looking at different options and pretty quickly realized that we might be a little late to the game in terms of planning. So kind of had to reevaluate and look at different options that were on the table, from a strategic partnership or financial partnership, and then all the way to an ESOP, which we ended up settling on.
So what was the biggest driver then? I mean, for some, it is seen as a way of actually protecting the culture, the brand, rather than selling it to somebody from the outside. Is that part of what drove the decision for Steinhafels?
That was absolutely a very, very big part of it. Protecting the family's legacy, protecting the employee legacy here. We have a lot of long-term tenured employees, and not just employees, but their families that have worked with our family throughout many, many years. And when we looked at other options, one of our big concerns was we certainly would lose control that we have had over the business for about 91 years now. And when we looked at the ESOP option, it seemed almost too good to be true, where the family got to stay involved in the business from a leadership or from a board perspective. And yet we were able to transition and ensure the financial benefit for our employees going forward into the future.
And you talk interesting there, and that's something that is a piece of this that people might not realize. There is a big structure change, right? It might not seem any different on the outside, but you talked about a board. Talk a little bit about what had to be added to the family business in order to make this work.
Yeah, it was a very interesting process going through the actual ESOP transaction, because it is a business transaction at the end of the day. And we worked with an outside ESOP trustee, negotiated the terms of the sale. And as part of that, we did have to change our corporate governance and implement a formal board structure. So the family members are all on the board, as well as maintaining some day-to-day positions. But it also required us to add 3 external board members. So far, that has been a wonderful transition. Adding some outside advisory input has been very helpful, and the ESOP trustee that we work with has been great from that perspective.
And so what happens here for people that don't understand is once this transaction happens, then slowly the note, if you will, is paid back. But what are the things that were the most difficult or the biggest hurdles, if you will, when you try to educate the now owners of the company as to what this is going to be? Because it's not just a simple transaction and they're going to somehow take over. Talk a little bit about some of the nuances that probably were not the easiest to have people understand.
Yeah, we had found that it's almost as important to explain and describe what an ESOP is not, rather than just describing what an ESOP is. So it is a long-term qualified retirement plan for employees, similar to a 401k, where they get shares allocated each year that there's a vesting schedule and then a price associated with those shares. But really, what they are receiving is a financial benefit. They are not receiving voting shares or the ability to, all of a sudden start making decisions, or we don't hold elections internally for those board members. Those are all assigned from the board and with the trustees' approval. So for us, it was really trying to educate ourselves, not just our employees, but also our new employee owners about what the ESOP truly is, how it's this wonderful forward-looking benefit for them, and also, some nuance to, what it is in the meantime.
And it does not, let's make this clear too, and it does not replace a 401k, correct?
Correct. At least for us, it did not replace our 401k or current profit sharing plan that we do have in place. So everything from our employees' perspective, this is truly just an additional benefit. You do not have to pay into it with outside funds. It is just something you receive if you are a qualified employee. You are eligible to receive these shares at the end of each year. We go through a whole process to allocate the shares, to have a formal evaluation of the company done to set our new share price. And then the employees at the end of the year see that in their ESOP statement of what shares they have, what's vested, and then at what price and the current value of it.
And I guess business owners need to understand too that the real incentivization in here too is for people to stay long term, because the longer they stay, the more opportunity there is for this ownership to pay off for that individual employee. Talk a little bit about that too, because this is a great retention tool at its heart also.
It's a wonderful retention tool and a great attraction tool as well. We've been able to pitch this to incoming employees as well throughout our interview process as an additional benefit that, not at least where we are, not too many other employers can offer this additional benefit. And to your point, it really is about the long-term potential of what this could be. We share with them case studies done of companies where they've had people retire with 7 figures in their ESOP account. We hope to one day, hopefully not too far away, but hit our first milestone of having a 6-figure ESOP retiree would be a great thing for us.
Well, and let's talk also a little, dive down a little bit further into that, because for those new employees, this is obviously a great retention tool for those you have. Are you finding in just the 4 years when you've had to make those outside hires, how much of an acquisition tool is this as well?
Yeah, no, it's been great seeing employees engage with it and really, understand the value that is created, that they help create, and it drives their engagement every day. And then, I do think we have seen a slightly better retention rate post ESOP transaction. And again, in terms of hiring people, it's something we bring up throughout the process to say this is an additional benefit, and here is what we think this could be for our employees.
So Andrew, what has surprised you most? What's the one thing that after the months and months and months of digging into this and putting this thing together, what are the things that have surprised you?
I I think it's a pleasant surprise, but we were hoping that employees would really engage with it and treat it like they are now owners. And part of that comes with a responsibility and a financial responsibility to the company as well. But we continue to get just wonderful suggestions and ideas from our employee owners that are, I think, higher quality and more engaged suggestions, and just better questions are asked from our employees. So I think that's the biggest pleasant surprise. On the flip side, one of those surprises is that, or maybe unsurprisingly, but something we didn't necessarily consider was, some of the younger workforce doesn't engage with a qualified retirement plan as much as you would hope they would, even though it's a benefit they do receive. Somebody $20 or somebody at 20 years old, making an hourly rate of $22 an hour might not necessarily be thinking about long-term retirement savings. But we have seen overall just the engagement has been wonderful with our employees.
That's great. And it seems, that's when you talk about investment. It's not just for them an investment as far as the money they're getting out of it. Now they're invested more because of the fact that this is, truly their company. So that's really kind of cool. We have a little less than a minute to go here, and I want to ask you this one as well. So how has it paid off, do you think, during these last couple of years? I mean, you guys did this in 21, and it has been a tumultuous business environment. I don't think I'm overstating that or being hyperbolic, but how do you feel that this structure has managed through that and helped or been a challenge through these last couple of years?
Yeah, I'd say one of the side effects of having become an ESOP is that we, over the last several years, have become significantly more transparent to our employees. So we've shared more information about how the company is performing, about how things impact our performance, and try to relate that to what they do on a day-to-day basis. We talk about protecting your ESOP. You play a role in our financial success, and that we all get to benefit from. So I do think in tumultuous times, it has certainly helped us, again, just from the quality of suggestions and ideas to, people raising their hand and saying, hey, have we ever thought about doing something different here? I think we might be able to save some money. So we've certainly seen that benefit. And I think that transparency has gone a long way to educating our associates, and again, just having them become a more engaged, more educated workforce.
I appreciate this because a lot of companies are having these conversations, and this has been some great insight today. Andrew Steinhafel, president of Steinhafels, the employee-owned Steinhafels. I appreciate you being here on 10 out of 10. I'm Mark Schumacher, and we will see you all next time.